The 2000s were the golden era of movie tie-in games, and Harry Potter was the biggest film franchise of the decade. A consequence of these two facts is the huge number of Harry Potter video games. So I hopped on eBay, bought the cheapest piece of junk Hufflepuff robes money can buy, got my hands on these bad boys, and here we are. Some of these games are surprisingly awesome, and some of them are among the worst pieces of garbage ever burned to disc. The inconsistency is astounding. When you slide one of these discs in, you truly don't know whether you will be delighted or destroyed. Let's not waste any more time. This is the Harry Potter movie tie-in game collection.
It's going to be a bumpy ride.
The Philosopher's Stone, or the Sorcerer's Stone, depending on whether or not you live in a country that reads books, is of course where it all kicks off. The game opens with a brief cutscene glossing over the origins of Harry. They don't show the Dursleys or any of Harry's home life before Hogwarts, because I guess they couldn't be bothered creating those character models or environments. Kinda feels like a pretty critical part of the narrative to ignore, but whatever. For the first bit of gameplay, we skip straight to Ollivander's wand shop to choose our wand. Of course, I go with the fat 11 inches. We then go through a tutorial section, doing some basic platforming and learning how to cast our first spell, Flipendo. The first thing that stands out during this section is that Harry announces everything. There's these beans you collect throughout the game, and every single bean, without fail, he'll announce the flavor of.
Toast, coconut, sardine flavor, liver, spinach flavor.
And a lot of the time, you'll be collecting multiple beans in quick succession, so he'll be interrupting himself constantly.
Tripe, fish, peppermint.
We arrive at Hogwarts. Ron is already wearing his sweater that in the story he isn't supposed to get until Christmas later this year. There is actually an explanation for this, but we'll get to that a bit later. The semi-open world Hogwarts we've got here is pretty cool. Navigating the moving staircases, walking the halls, going up to the Gryffindor common room, it all feels good. We sneak past Percy Weasley, narrowly escaping through this convenient boy-sized hole in the wall to find Fred and George. It's here that we can use the beans we've collected to purchase items.
Dung bombs!
Very cool. Our first class is Potions with Snape in the dungeons. It's here we meet Draco Malfoy, looking a lot like Tim Heidecker's doppelganger from Us. In Potions, Snape tells us that we need to collect Asphodel, Dittany, and Wiggentree bark before the next potions lesson. Little did I know just how much of a nightmare collecting these three ingredients would be. But first, we gotta go to our Defense Against the Dark Arts class with Professor Quirrell. We're told that to learn the spell Lumos, we must go through a hole in the wall and retrieve the Lumos spellbook. Neville gives it a go, but... He's Neville. So through goes Harry, and I guess the rest of the class just have to sit around twiddling their thumbs until Potter returns. We do a load of pretty basic stuff, defeating a bunch of these small critters, pushing crates, pressing buttons, and collecting the Lumos spellbook, unlocking the spell. Despite the entire purpose of Lumos being that it reveals things in the environment such as weak floorboards, I still managed to fall through the weak floorboards more times than I'd care to admit.
You didn't see anything, right?
Then we get a boss battle against these two ghosts. This boss battle kind of sucks. You can only damage them by casting Lumos and pointing it in their direction. It's pretty unreliable though, resulting in a lot of trial and error. I also don't know who chose to have the camera locked in this corner of the room, but it doesn't help. The class is dismissed, with all of the students seemingly delighted that they got to spend the past hour doing absolutely nothing while Harry Potter was off collecting a spellbook on the other side of a wall. Time for a flying lesson, which in classic 90s 2000s game fashion involves flying through rings. The broom flying controls are not fantastic, but it's fun enough. I think if I was playing this as a young child back in the day, I would be excited flying around Hogwarts. Despite struggling with the controls, I received an A+.
I'd take you on any time on my own. Tonight if you want.
Wizard's Duel?
Oh.
I'm excited for this wizard duel, but what I hadn't realized is I would need to get through the worst part of the game first. See, remember those 3 plants we need to collect for potions? Now's the time to get them. We're given a large open area with no real direction or clue as to what we're supposed to be doing. Now, I could list every single problem I ran into, but I'll just show you the most clear example. While looking for a plant, we navigate various pathways and solve various clunky puzzles leading to a cave area. There's these orange glowing mushrooms. At first I thought maybe they're the plant we're after, but it's not the case. I walk around the cave, decide there's nothing here, and walk out. I now wander about for half an hour, unsure as to where the game wants me to go. I even returned to this cave multiple times thinking I'd missed something, and as it turns out, I had missed something because this right here is the plant we're looking for.
Are you kidding me?
We get a boss battle against the troll in the bathroom. Unlike the majority of the game so far, this feels like it's actually a part of the Philosopher's Stone plot, which is nice. It was an intense battle, as one more hit would have been enough to kill Harry, but luckily I was able to defeat the beast just in time. Snow falls, marking Christmas time. What are you getting for Christmas, Ron? The sweater you've been wearing the entire game? It was at this moment that the reason why the Weasleys are already wearing the sweaters dawned on me. This game was made after the Chamber of Secrets game.
I've got it! I cracked the code!
Yep, there wasn't actually a tie-in game for the first movie, and then following the success of the Chamber of Secrets, they rushed out this one to try and cash in on the hype. Not only does this explain how they recycled the same Weasley character models already wearing their sweaters, but it also explains why it feels like the plot of the Philosopher's Stone is barely happening in the game at all. Eventually, we do get some actual plot, with Harry sneaking to the forbidden section in the library to read about the Philosopher's Stone. Now that the meat of the story is really getting underway...
Wow!
Oh wait, never mind. We're sending Harry through another hole in a wall to find a spell book on the other end of a frustrating maze of platforming puzzles. At the end of one of these sections, we fight a giant carnivorous plant. This took me way longer than it should have to defeat because it requires a very specific order of spells to use. It turns out that what you have to do is use Defindo to cut off both of its arms, and then when it opens its gob, you hit it with Incendio. Now, the idea of leaving it up to the player to figure out what spells to use is good and engaging on paper, but when the spells you cast don't work half the time, it becomes a real problem. And this makes the process of figuring out things like this plant boss incredibly tedious, as when you try a spell and nothing happens, you don't know if something was supposed to happen, or if you're just using the wrong spell, or if it was the wrong timing. We get the Quidditch game where Harry's broom is cursed. It keeps cutting to shots of Snape muttering while Ron and Hermione talk about how he's making Harry lose control of his broom.
Snape, he's jinxing the broom.
But if I'm being completely honest, due to the game's already imperfect flying controls, I felt just as in control of the broom whether or not I was being cursed. Time to go down the trap door. First up is the Devil's Snare Trap, which is another one of these plant bosses. The game's already made me fight this same plant many times, so by now I'm quite the expert, and this fight posed no problems. Then to catch the flying key, Harry flies through some more rings, progressing us to the next stage, a chess challenge. It's a simplified version of chess with these remaining pieces, where every piece can move one space in any direction. This is probably the most fun I had playing the game. It's straightforward but enjoyable, figuring out the logic to take the remaining pieces without losing my own. It's a shame that this is followed by one of the most painful experiences in all of gaming. It's the final boss battle against Quirrell with Voldemort on the back of his head. This took me 73 minutes to defeat. Quirrell summons a bunch of ghost dogs and shields himself in the middle. The first major problem with this battle is, as I previously mentioned, the reliability of the Lumos spell to do damage to ghosts is horrible. It straight up doesn't work a lot of the time, and when you're trying to damage multiple dogs all running around, it's not fair when one hits you and does damage purely because the Lumos spell didn't choose to work that time. Then Quirrell reveals Voldemort on his head, leading to a second stage or second boss battle, depending on how you look at it. I don't even know what to say about this one because even though I beat it, I'm not 100% sure how it works. I'm pretty sure from what I was able to figure out, the way you defeat Voldemort is by dodging his attacks until he charges up for this one. Then if you're on this side of the mirror, but only when you're on this side of the mirror, you need to currently have a spell charging, which then catches his spell, giving you the ability to launch it back in the direction Harry's facing. If you do all of these things enough times, eventually he'll be defeated.
Oh, this is all confusing. Why do I have to keep learning new things?
This game makes a lot of sense when you know it was pumped out using a lot of assets from the Chamber of Secrets game, because it feels like a few hours of irrelevant filler gameplay with the odd moment relating to the story, and then a quick chess game and an awful boss battle tagged on at the end as if to say, see, it was the Philosopher's Stone after all. As soon as I started the Chamber of Secrets, I knew something was wrong, as this was the opening cutscene. Then when I reached the gameplay, my suspicions were confirmed as Harry moved around at a snail's pace. So it turns out that when playing the original Xbox disc copy on an Xbox 360, for some reason, parts of the game run in slow motion. That's just the way it is, so yeah, I just had to suck it up. Despite this, the game immediately establishes that a lot more effort was put into it than the Philosopher's Stone. In the first hour, we have a tutorial boss that's a washing machine Fred and George have built to fight you. Then we go to that cursed shop Harry accidentally teleports to, featuring some spooky jump scares.
Oh my God!
This is followed by exploring and purchasing our back-to-school gear in Diagon Alley. And then, when Harry and Ron crash the flying car into the Whomping Willow, we get a combination of platforming and boss battle type gameplay to escape the tree. This is all in the first hour of the game. This makes the slow motion problem quite tragic because I can tell what I'm playing is a great game. It's just very difficult to fully enjoy some parts of it when it's like this. The cutscene of Lockhart in the bookshop taking over 6 minutes to get through at a mind-numbingly slow pace is one thing, but the Whomping Willow boss battle is effectively ruined because it's all meant to be timing-based, but the timing of the game is broken by the unfortunate circumstances of our situation. The next few hours of gameplay I won't spend too much time talking about because it's more or less stuff they lazily copied and pasted when they made the Philosopher's Stone. Hufflepuff is purple in this game.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
We have a duel with Malfoy where we learn how to use Expelliarmus to deflect spells back in the direction they came in. I know all the Harry Potter nerds out there are thinking, that isn't what Expelliarmus does, man, what the f***? But it makes for some pretty fun tennis-style dueling gameplay, so I'm not complaining. Everything about this game feels much more fleshed out, detailed, and interesting than the Philosopher's Stone. The Forbidden Library section, for example, it has a very similar platforming section as the other game, dodging books flying in and out of the shelf. But then it also has a boss battle against a bookshelf where we have to keep pushing it back until it falls over. The first game was missing these sort of one-off encounter moments, but they're what gives the world life and a real sense of adventure. This is a good game, but within this good game, we reach quite possibly the worst piece of platforming gameplay ever designed. See, we have to go around the entire perimeter of the room on these platforms to reach this door. Between a lot of these platforms, we have to shimmy across ledges like this. There's ghosts flying around that you can't do anything to, you can't attack or defend against them, so you just have to ignore them and let them hit you and hope that you'll get lucky enough to slowly make it around the room without dying. But it gets worse, because when you jump between these platforms, only a precise part of the ledge actually registers for you to climb up. If you don't get this absolutely perfect, Harry will fall and you gotta find your way back to the start. Now add the clunky directional and camera controls that make it incredibly difficult to hit the precise part of each platform that Harry can latch onto. Throw all of these things together and in a single run, you have to get lucky enough to land all of these jumps while getting lucky enough that not too many of these ghosts will happen to hit you or hit you at the wrong moment and send you to the ground.
What a sick joke!
We end up in the Chamber of Secrets, and there's a pretty sick boss battle against the Basilisk to end the game. I didn't expect the Basilisk to look this good, and I also didn't expect it to be a full huge snake moving around the environment, slithering in and out of holes. It's not a difficult battle, but it's fun and feels like an appropriately epic way to finish the game. Gryffindor wins the House Cup, Malfoy makes this face, and the game is over. It's far from perfect, and I wish I could play it at its intended speed, but overall, it's a good game. The Prisoner of Azkaban is considered by many, including myself, to be the best book and the best movie. It's the final game following the same formula as the first two, so I won't spend much time talking about all of the sections that are practically identical. It opens on the Hogwarts Express, managing to blast through plot setup at a record pace.
Now I'm gonna have to find Scabbers.
Calm down, Ron. You don't want to wake up Professor Lupin, our new defense against the dark arts teacher.
Yeah, Hermione, you wouldn't want to shout exposition and wake him up, would you? So we go looking for Scabbers with Ron, which somehow leads to a fight against Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle, featuring this remarkable illustration. After murdering Malfoy, a Dementor boards the train, Harry passes out, and now we play as Ron, dragging him to safety. This is the first game in the series where we don't just play as Harry. In this one, we can switch between all three of our favorite Gryffindors. They each have different abilities, with Hermione being able to fit through tighter spaces. Not that she's really much smaller than either of the other two, but I guess she's a girl and they figured, it, girls are smaller or something. It still makes more sense than Ron's unique ability of being able to detect hidden ways through walls that the others can't. There were multiple moments while navigating Hogwarts where I couldn't figure out what to do next, and then I remembered, oh yeah, Ron is like a truffle pig for invisible pathways. I forgot about that. They also each learn different spells. For example, Hermione learns the freezing spell Glacius, allowing her to solidify liquids to create bridges to walk across or put out fires.
Tight, yeah!
During some brief sections, we get to fly around as Hedwig. As you can see, it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but all of these added features combine to make the game feel like a significant step up in production value. There's a boss battle against the most famous Harry Potter character, the Giant Oven, with Rayman-style floating feet and hands. Okay, sure, this thing feels a bit out of place in the Harry Potter world, but the battle's pretty fun.
If it's just a bit of fun.
Next, we have Hagrid's lesson with Buckbeak. Being able to fly the Hippogriff is one of the big selling points on the game's box, so I was interested to see how it went. Honestly, it's pretty good. The scale of everything feels about right, Buckbeak looks good, and the controls aren't terrible, which is all you can ask for. I imagine this would have been pretty euphoric to play as a 10-year-old Potter mega fan back in 2004. At Quidditch, Harry is attacked by an army of Dementors. This results in Harry being woken by Ron in the hospital wing.
I know where Sirius Black is. He's down in the dungeons.
If you're familiar enough with the Prisoner of Azkaban's plot, right now you might be thinking, what the f***? This doesn't make any sense within the narrative, but rest easy, because when we get down to the dungeon, the surprise twist reveal is that it's actually Malfoy using Polyjuice Potion to disguise himself as Ron to bully Harry. It is kind of funny how the big twist is, guess what? We actually didn't completely f*** up the story. Let's skip to this part, when Goyle's mopey eyes see Harry and his friends go to the Shrieking Shack. So they follow us, and once again, we fight the Slytherins.
A few moments later.
Ron! Hermione! Break down that fence!
Fending off the Dementors involves controlling a Patronus spell through the air to stun them. On paper, I can see how this idea might have seemed like a good one, but in execution, it's safe to say it doesn't quite capture the tense horror and thrilling danger that it should. So we do more and more of this standard platforming puzzle gameplay that I haven't really shown in this third game because you've already seen plenty of it, until eventually the game decides, hey, I guess we better wrap up the Prisoner of Azkaban plot. And before you can blink or even begin to process whether or not the game's bothered to justify how the story got to this point, we're playing as Harry, who's gone back in time to save himself from the Dementors. I don't think any of this would make a shred of sense to someone who doesn't already know the ins and outs of the plot, but whatever. We save the day casting Harry's Stag Patronus. Dumbledore bends all of the rules to somehow rig yet another Gryffindor victory in the House Cup, and that's the game. Out of the 3 games following this formula, it's the best one. It feels a lot like the others, but with more features and polish, and it doesn't have any issues with how it runs on the Xbox 360, which is always a positive. The Goblet of Fire shakes a lot of things up. For a start, it's the first game in the franchise to try and make the character models look like the actors in the movie. The Death Eaters ambushed the Quidditch World Cup, but instead of fighting them, we fight this thing. It almost feels like they didn't want to spend the time programming and animating Death Eaters for one part of combat gameplay, so instead we fight a creature that will no doubt appear many more times throughout the game, and we just pretend it makes sense on this occasion. Mr. Weasley is standing out the back, doing absolutely nothing, waiting for us to cast Wingardium Leviosa on a rock. The problem is we all need to cast it at once, and not only do we keep getting interrupted by the creature, but the companion AI in this game is horrible. Despite the immediate danger of the whole situation, you've probably noticed there's still Bertie Bott's beans all over the floor for us to collect. And not only do they look completely out of place, but Ron seems a bit more focused on them than saving his own life.
Over there! Beans!
Now we're in Moody's Defense Against the Dark Arts class to learn the controls. Of course, we learn by fighting another one of these. The game already seems intent on establishing these Dugbogs as the main enemy type. After some more defense against the Dark Arts, learning to put out fires with a water spraying spell and mercilessly turning an innocent rabbit into a pile of beans, we reach the point in the game where it settles into what I'd describe as the most agonizing game structure ever.
Just my luck.
This isn't an open world game, nor is it a linear game. What it is there's a handful of environments such as the gloomy dark castle, the gloomy dark forest, and the gloomy dark sewers. What we do is spawn in one of these environments, pick a direction, walk in that direction, fighting a load of the same enemies along the way, until eventually we find a shield. When we find one, the game declares the level is over, returning us to the home menu. To unlock the next part of the game, we have to collect a specified number of shields. This means replaying the same location again and again and again, doing effectively the same no matter which direction you go to collect another shield, only to be told,
"Back again, eh? And there are still several shields to collect."
Shut up! Shut up! Shut!
I could spend hours going through every single time trying to collect these shields. Made me wish the Xbox was never invented, but I'll just show you one of these occasions because you'll get the idea. So we spawn in this location, and the first thing we do is a boss battle against whatever this ugly thing is. It is a bit of a button mashy mess. Next, we move this rock with Wingardium Leviosa, having to wait an egregious amount of time for Ron and Hermione to hurry up and join the casting. We reach the greenhouse, and it's here these bugs are introduced. And if you've played the game, you are already well aware that these bugs are the most anger-inducing pieces of ever conceived. To move forward, we have to slowly cast spells to open lily pads. This takes a few seconds, and if we're interrupted by one of these bugs, it resets. The solution seems simple. Destroy the bugs so you can continue without interruptions. This doesn't work though, because the bugs just respawn, and they seem to respawn instantly.
What's the point?
This whole section of the game was clearly made for multiplayer so that two of you can deal with the bugs while the other person casts the spells to move forward on the lily pads. But when you're playing on your own like me, it simply doesn't work at all because you need to be the one to open the pads. But then Ron and Hermione's AI is no good at protecting you in the meantime. So we persist through this torturous room. How much health we still have by the end of it comes down to pure luck, and then we reach a massive spiral staircase with seemingly no end, with more of these f***ing bugs constantly spawning and more of these slow lily pads to open. We go up and up and up, and then we get to the top. We pick up a cauldron to drop this thing, and then I died. So now I have to start it all over again, because when you die, it's game over for that attempt. Now trust me, I got there in the end, but it took so many crushing attempts that I hadn't realized in the meantime the device I was recording the gameplay onto ran out of storage, so the footage was lost.
But you can't do this to me.
You know how much I sacrificed?
By now, you've probably forgotten that this is the Goblet of Fire video game, and fair enough, because none of this has anything to do with the Goblet of Fire. That said, there are 3 Triwizard Tournament levels scattered throughout. The first is the Dragon, where we fly away from it at high speeds through rings of beans. Because no matter how much they clash with the aesthetic of the scene, the game persists on forcing the beans into every possible situation. The second Triwizard Tournament level is underwater, as we float through this majestic world, shooting evil critters with spells. Oh, and of course we go through rings of beans, because we all know the Great Lake is full of many sunken beans. The final Triwizard event is the Maze, and this year the tournament is sponsored by Heinz Baked Beans, which is why the maze is just full of lines of beans. Even as the dangerous roots of the hedge try to swallow you, you better grab every one of them beans off the floor. There's a joke in here somewhere about maize and beans, but I can't be bothered.
Wow.
It's maize and beans.
Whoa!
The maze also features a battle against 2 of these at once, which as you can tell is just phenomenal gameplay. Finally, after countless hours collecting shields in these hideous environments, and after completing the final Triwizard Tournament event, we fight Voldemort. Skeletons come out of the ground as the 2 of us push a magic ball of light around the place. Then Voldemort tries to throw this statue at us, and we damage the statue with the ball of light. There's this goofy shot of Cedric's ghost, and that's the end of the game. The pain caused by this horrific piece of software had me considering that thing from movies where they just walk out to sea and never turn around. They tried to completely change the formula, and damn did they get it wrong on this occasion. But with 4 games under my belt, in the end I figured, hey, I've already played half of them, in for a penny, in for a pound, surely it's only up from here. The Order of the Phoenix opens with everyone's favorite cousins both looking quite intense, as Dudley mercilessly bullies Harry.
Don't kill Cedric! Boo-hoo!
You're right, Scoob. We're dealing with one sick son of a...
When the Dementors attack, we waggle the right stick around to save the day. That's the first major change in this game, the spell casting, and it's definitely an improvement. To cast specific spells, we move the right stick around in specific ways. Like dragging the stick down twice quickly will cast Accio, pulling things towards you, or pushing it up twice will cast Depulso, pushing things away. I reckon this is about as close as a game like this can get to feeling like you're casting, and the game does a solid job at ingraining them all in your memory. We arrive at Hogwarts, and this is the moment the game becomes something truly magical, because unlike the show that was the previous game's structure, what we've got here is the first genuine open world Hogwarts adventure. Sure, those first 3 games are technically open world in Hogwarts, but this game is the first one that actually feels like it. With a detail-packed castle properly built to explore, with sights to see and stuff to do outside of the story.
It's unbelievable, Jeff!
There's heaps of things broken or scattered around the castle, from armored knights that require repositioning, or a large portrait that needs to be put back into place. When we fix these things, not only do we gain XP to level up our spells, but there's often other rewards, such as new ghosts that appear floating around when we fix their portrait, or new hidden corridors that we can access by speaking to the moving paintings, allowing us to practically teleport to other sections of Hogwarts. As we explore more and discover more, we unlock more efficient ways to navigate this great castle. There's a couple of mini games we can play with other students, such as Exploding Snap, which pretty much speaks for itself. It's Snap, but guess what? It explodes.
Wow.
And there's Gobstones, which is like a marbles or lawn bowls type of game. If you're still not satisfied with all of these options, you can just walk around, pointing your wand, threatening students, and making them run away. So how does the game handle the story of the Order of the Phoenix. Surprisingly well. All of the important Harry Potter students are here, wandering around the school grounds, and we can find them on the Marauders map. While their voice acting and animations definitely has its moments, most of the characters capture the right energy.
So, what can we do?
Not the brightest, is he?
I solemnly swear he isn't the brightest.
As we play through the game, different characters appear highlighted on the map, and we go and speak to them to start missions. A lot of these missions will be random tasks like helping Colin get his camera down from a high place that he somehow got stuck up there. But a lot of these tasks will also be direct plot beats, such as developing the romance between Harry and Cho, as we spend way too long chasing a box around the owlery to get it back for her. At one stage, I lost the owl, and then I think the game got confused about where the owl was too, so neither me nor the game knew where the the owl had gone, which resulted in Harry going up and down these poles as the pair say lines implying the owl was there even though it wasn't.
Come here!
Oh, almost.
We do a lot of missions helping out students around the castle, and then after each one, we invite them to go join Dumbledore's army in the Room of Requirements. It's a pleasant surprise how well this game balances the required story beats and the open world gameplay side of things.
Doesn't it just warm your heart?
It just wouldn't be one of these games without pointless fights against Slytherins, so how is the combat? It's solid. The right stick spellcasting and the progressive learning of new spells as you get further in the game adds up for some pretty fun spell combat. It's not the most challenging thing in the world, but it's nice, and this game isn't all about fighting. It's more about chilling and enjoying the magic of Hogwarts, which is a refreshing change of pace. Of course, we get a horrendously unromantic rendition of Harry and Cho's kiss. I don't think this emotional beat really lands in the movie, so there's no chance it was gonna land in EA's rendered recreation. Harry accidentally lets Voldemort into his mind, so we take occlumency lessons with Snape, forcing his wand back to the center to banish him from our brain. I don't know what else to say about this, but I guess it's important, so there you go. And then Cho rats us out to Umbridge and destroys the Dumbledore's army meetings, bringing our story to its climax. Wait, no, sorry, we have to do some more spur-of-the-moment fights against Slytherins. I forgot that's always more important than whatever's going on in the story. The Weasleys pull off their daring fireworks attack as we indulge in some clunky as hell flying gameplay. You can probably tell how dodgy the controls are just watching it, but as a throwaway bit in a mostly excellent game, I found it charming. Umbridge gets dragged out into the Forbidden Forest by these creatures, and then guess what? We fight some more Slytherins.
Of course!
In the books and movies, the Slytherin versus Gryffindor beef is mainly just schoolyard bullying with a tense rivalry, but in the games, whenever we cross paths, it's an all-out war. It's like anytime the plot hasn't had a fight for a while, EA just sends over Malfoy and his gang to go you, Potter, as an excuse for some combat gameplay. Finally, we fly to London to wrap things up. After some more dueling, this time against actual evil enemies and not just school kids who are on the green team for sports day, we have a boss battle playing as Dumbledore against Voldemort. A highlight is when Voldemort, the Dark Lord of all evil, decides to use the forbidden magic of picking up a bunch of lawn chairs and just pegging them at the old Harry makes this face as Voldemort tries to enter his mind, and we get the payoff for those occlumency lessons with Snape, forcing Voldemort's wand back to the center to banish him from our mind. The day is saved, and that's the game. It's the best game so far, if you ask me, and a much-needed bounce back for the franchise. Let's hope the next one can continue in such a positive direction. The Half-Blood Prince opens with Harry at the Burrow as we do some pre-season Quidditch training. This is by far the best broom riding in any of these games. It feels suitably fast and exciting, the controls are snappy while not losing the free-flowing momentum of being on a broom. While I generally couldn't give a about flying through rings to catch a snitch, out of the various iterations of this I've experienced, this is the best. Ron wants us to toss some cauldrons into the swamp for some reason, and hey look, there's the washing machine monster the Weasley twins made in the Chamber of Secrets game. That's a nice little callback for us real players. It's also nice to see the right stick spellcasting system from the last game is still here.
Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on!
So we arrive at Hogwarts with Snape being appointed the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, and Harry casually wishes death upon him.
The Defense Against the Dark Arts job's jinxed. Snape will be gone by the end of the year, and personally, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for another death.
Oh, how could you say that?
McGonagall doesn't seem to care about the death threat she clearly just heard, and instead chooses to tell Harry he's been accepted for his potions class. So off we go to do potions, and as much as it surprises me to say this, the potions classes are one of the best parts of the game. They happen a number of times throughout, getting more and more complex as we learn how to perform more and more potion brewing methods. Just chucking in ingredients, stirring until it turns a certain color, heating it until it turns a certain color, shaking ingredients until they bubble. If we mess any of this up, from adding the wrong stuff to stirring or shaking or heating for too long, we can very easily mess up the potion. This is the first part of any of these games where it actually feels like we're partaking in a real class at Hogwarts. All the other games would come up with excuses for gameplay in classes, like sending kids through a hole in the wall to collect a book and being like, yep, that's the history lesson for today. But this is a recurring potions class where we make more and more advanced potions each time. It seems kind of obvious, but it took us 6 games to get here, so maybe it's not that obvious. On the way to Quidditch trials, Crabbe and Goyle sabotage us by slamming the gate and tearing off the lever. Unfortunately for them, they completely forgot that magic exists in this world and we can just use a spell or two to fix the lever and continue on our way. So we make it to Quidditch trials and do more of this broom riding, ring flying gameplay. We get some of the least subtle, definitely not strange romantic foreshadowing dialogue.
I don't know. She's got nice skin.
Nice skin? Mine has got nice skin.
And then Ginny asks us to cook up a shrinking potion as a favor. But on the way back, in classic EA Harry Potter game style, we're ambushed by the Slytherins, resulting in combat. How is the dueling? Well, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but out of all of these games, this one does it best. The combination of spells at our disposal hits a sweet spot of having some depth while not being overly complicated. The character animations, bright colors and movements, it all works for me.
I'm proud of you, you know that. I hope you do.
I don't know if it's just the motion blur, but Harry is fast as in this game. Harry meets Luna as his date to Slughorn's Christmas party, and he is clearly elite at giving compliments.
No, you look fine.
I'm glad you came.
The magic of Hogwarts is alive as we run together through a night filled with fireworks, dashing down the stairs and getting stuck at the bottom briefly because this is still an EA Harry Potter game. You can never have a perfect moment. The game tells us to follow Snape and Draco, and I guess my brain wasn't switched on because I ran straight up to them, not clocking that we were supposed to remain hidden in the process. On attempt 2, we get some critical plot dialogue leading to Bellatrix attacking the burrow. While I did say the dueling here is the best in the franchise, it's certainly not too difficult. We are able to kind of just hurl spells at enemies until they die, but what can I say? It's fun. We fight Malfoy in the bathroom, and this is perhaps the only time in the entire franchise when combat against Slytherins is actually a part of the story and not just some made-up encounter to force combat gameplay. We go a bit hard in the paint, injuring Malfoy, and Snape turns up so angry that his nose moves with his mouth in his animations.
What the f***?
Ginny kisses Harry in the room of requirement, and then Harry announces,
"It's time I got lucky."
What does that mean? Well, we watch in first person as Harry walks through Hogwarts as a smokehouse jazz rendition of the Harry Potter theme plays in the background. I'm not touching the controller. I'm not doing anything. This continues for quite some time until we reach a confrontation with Crabbe and Goyle. But because Harry is feeling lucky, all of their spells miss him, so we're invincible, while all of our spells hit.
I've got it! I've got the memory from Slughorn!
You may not have adequate facial animations to match the intensity of the dialogue delivery, but at least you've got the memories from Slughorn. All of this culminates with Harry and Dumbledore heading out to this cave. As we fend off all of these creatures that gave me nightmares when I was an 8-year-old kid after watching the movie for the first time, Dumbledore is killed, and it's truly heartbreaking stuff. At least it would be if any of these games were capable of capturing any level of emotional storytelling, but hey, the plot is happening. We get one last duel against Bellatrix and her evil crew, and then roll credits, the game is over. I honestly didn't think there would be one better than the Order of the Phoenix, but here we are. It's got a wide variety of gameplay that all works well enough, the best feeling dueling, the best feeling flying, classes that feel like actual classes. The story was communicated, which is all I can ask for, and it has a willingness to be creative and charming. Genuinely great game. With my faith fully restored in the franchise, I once again felt comfortable in my Hogwarts robes. Life's good playing the Harry Potter games. I'm sure nothing could bring me down. The Deathly Hallows Part 1 is the lowest rated game in the franchise. Let's just slide the disc in and find out why. It opens with an on-rails shooting section as we sit in the passenger compartment of Hagrid's motorcycle spamming attacks at Death Eaters. I kinda thought the whole purpose of this moment in the story was Hedwig's death, but nope, the bird doesn't even get a mention here, so I guess they just couldn't be modeling an owl. At the wedding of whoever it is, I'm sure the real nerds know, but I don't remember. The Death Eaters attack, leading to this game's primary gameplay, this third-person shooting and cover combat. We take cover and then aim and spam shots at the enemy. After the pretty solid right-stick spellcasting gameplay in Order of the Phoenix and Half-Blood Prince, it's pretty disappointing to see this step backwards, and it no longer feels at all like you're actually casting spells. It just feels like you're shooting a typical video game weapon. It's not very fun, but here's the real problem. This is 90% of the gameplay, and usually it's not even related to the story. At multiple points in the game, it'll stop and go, here's 3 missions you have to go do, and all of these missions are just going out and partaking in this combat again and again. It couldn't be any more transparent that we're just wasting time to get the game's runtime up to a few hours, and then when the plot is actually occurring, like when we go to the Ministry of Magic, it's the same gameplay. This gameplay sucks. There's nothing magical about it. There's no wonder, fun, or sense of discovery, and the controls and hitboxes aren't even polished.
I don't even want to be around anymore.
Okay, so if that's 90% of the game, what's the other 10%? Well, there's the invisibility cloak sections. Ron will be like, go investigate this guy on the other side of the block. He looks suspicious. How on earth Ron can see him or even knows he exists from where we're standing, who knows? But we'll go and walk in his direction and stop every now and then to cool down our detection meter, and then we'll continue until we get to the guy.
Come on now, pick one up. Get another for the same price.
He's not a Death Eater.
No.
There's Whomping Willows, and I guess we're supposed to sneak past them, but I honestly couldn't be bothered and I just run on through. Our health regenerates pretty quickly, and this method usually only results in 1 hit from the willow, so it really is more efficient without any consequences than trying to do what the game wants us to do. There's Dementors, and the way we fight them is like this. If you didn't already believe me when I say they abandoned everything they learned about good spellcasting gameplay when they cobbled this pathetic mess together, well, I'm sure you believe me now watching the Dementor gameplay. The game offers nothing other than repeating what I've already shown you for a number of hours. I wish I could say I felt sad to see Dobby die, but honestly, as he spoke his final words, I could feel fireworks and confetti flying around in my head, knowing that I'd reached the end of the game. Dobby's dead? Whatever, I never have to play the Deathly Hallows Part 1 again. I can only hope they somehow drag this franchise in a better direction to end it all on a positive note. The final game picks up where Part 1 left us, on the beach, with Warwick Davis as Grip Hook giving us perhaps the worst line delivery in the whole franchise.
It is impossible.
Alone, yes.
The Sword of Gryffindor.
is my price.
Usually when they get the actual actor to do voice work, it means it'll be higher quality, but not on this occasion. Now we're in Gringotts, once again spamming the out of Stupefy in this crappy third-person shooting gameplay. While it's still not great, I will say they did clearly work on the mechanics of it after the shocking response to the combat in Part 1. The aiming, feedback, and hitboxes have all been improved, but it still feels way more like a Star Wars game than Harry Potter. Like, watch this. That is just Star Wars, isn't it? Avoid the dragon's fire. Ah, well. So we make our way around the dragon, reaching the scene with all of these multiplying gold goblets. The frame rate tanks, despite it being a pre-rendered cutscene, and then before you know it, the trio are flying through the air on the back of the dragon. Not that we get to play that though, because that would be too much gameplay variety. Instead, we watch as they jump off into the river so we can skip to more of this third-person shooting. Yes, once again, that is 90% of the gameplay. Back at Hogwarts, we get to play as McGonagall against Snape in a duel. Somehow, they managed to find the one voice actor in the world who can't even approximate an Alan Rickman impression.
Do not stand in the way of the Dark Lord, Minerva!
It's gotta be the easiest voice in the Harry Potter universe. How do you get it that wrong? Now we switch to Ron and Hermione going down to the Chamber of Secrets to retrieve a basilisk fang.
Trolls, Death Eaters, Slytherins.
Oh no, Ron, it's spiders. And my goodness, does this game make you fight a lot of them. It starts out admittedly kinda cool, spooky and gloomy, walking through the dark caves being attacked by spiders. But after you do it for 20 minutes straight, it loses any level of atmosphere or excitement it once had. And then you just keep on doing it. It's absurd the amount of spiders this game makes you fight. After what feels like a good half an hour of this, as if we haven't defeated enough of them already, the door jams and floods with spiders, and Ron is about as useful as he's been the whole time, which is not useful at all. He just stands there doing nothing other than taking damage, and if he dies, we lose and have to restart from the last checkpoint. So thanks, Ron.
Good job. Really good job.
I guess this is technically gameplay variety. It's not memorable, and to be honest, I forgot these running sections were even in the game until I went through the footage to edit this video, but hey, if you want to be able to say there's technically multiple gameplay modes, this is enough to check off that criteria. The Battle of Hogwarts is in full swing. McGonagall defends the castle from trolls and Death Eaters. Mrs. Weasley destroys Bellatrix in a moment of sweet revenge.
Meanwhile,
Harry, Ron, and Hermione are still, after 8 games, finding a way to fit in one last duel against the Slytherins, because it just wouldn't be an EA Harry Potter game without this. Sure, the biggest war in wizarding history is happening right above us, but forget that. You guys are in the green house and we're in the red house, so we don't get along. Harry finally chooses to surrender himself to Voldemort. As we walk down to surrender, the Death Eaters no longer attack. Instead, they stand proud on either side of our path. The game designers didn't turn off their hitboxes though, so we can just explode the out of them and none of them react or do anything. The ghosts of beloved characters who have lost their lives appear alongside Harry as he walks to his doom. It's meant to be quite the emotionally captivating moment, but as you can see, it just isn't. Time for the final duel against Voldemort. It plays like all of the other combat, except it occasionally cuts into a shot of Voldemort doing this, before the fight continues in an identical fashion. That weird as half-hearted shout doesn't mark a new boss stage or anything. He just does it, and then we keep fighting until finally our beams of light meet. This is it. After 8 games, some fun, some joy, quite a lot of pain and anger, spanning the entire golden era of movie tie-in games, it's time to end the story. A story, mind you, that most of the games barely bothered to convey at all, but nonetheless, this epic journey must come to a close. We push the orb towards Voldemort, and in a dramatic fashion, he is defeated. It is over. And then after the credits, they show us gameplay footage from all of the previous games with the simple message at the bottom, thanks for playing. Now, I've been trying to figure out a way to end this whole thing that makes it feel fully satisfying and gives it closure, but the truth is, life just goes on, so... Harry Potter for Kinect. Well, I'm sure this will be awesome.
I'm done! You hear me?